Okay. So I'm curious, what was your role? What did they hire you on as?
R&D chef.
R&D chef. Okay.
Yep.
So I mean, I think there's something to be said about working for a corporation or a bigger operation, right? The skills you learn in those bigger operations, systems, processes, procedures, documentation, HR, like all these things that are kind of overlooked in smaller operations. You might learn how to cook like a mofo in a smaller operation, like a mom and pop, like where there's only 5 or 6 people. Then you might get all the skills and all the knowledge from this executive chef that will take you under their wing. But what are they teaching you about running a business?
I have a PhD in food cost.
Yeah,
that's what I learned.
Okay, so give us some lessons. Like really, like what are some of the things that your average restaurateur doesn't know because of your experience at Taco Cabana?
So you live and die by your numbers. It doesn't matter how cool your food looks or how amazing. It's really all about your numbers. And the thing people forget is that a restaurant is a business. A restaurant is supposed to create money.
Yep.
Right? And a lot of chefs, it's a passion. Fuck no, man. I want to have a nice house. I want to have a nice car. I want to be able to go on vacation. I want to be able to travel. A business does that to you. So a lot of chefs, even now, like, well-known chefs, they get lost in that sauce.
I think it comes back again to the ego, right?
It's like, bro, it's a business.
Yeah.
A business is supposed to make you money, right? I'm not in this shit to work for the rest of my life. No, I want to retire someday and, have a nice chunk of change in the bank account. So working at TC, I learned numbers, food costs, like everything down to a penny.
Bring it back one layer different. What's one thing that they do as far as how to get down to that penny? Something, like, what level do they bring it? Like, can you give us something specific? Yeah,
so TC, they have a lot of purveyors, right?
Okay.
They have like 3 or 4 meat purveyors. They have, the queso purveyor. So everything comes in already costed down to like the ounce. Like the ounce of queso, it costs the company this much. You're going to sell it for this much and your profit's in the middle. So I learned that how those operations work, these massive operations, like how much fajita, they require to make all these fajita tacos company-wide, 145 restaurants in 3 states, right? So it's incredible. The level of how deep you get into food costs, and at the restaurant, that's one of the things I pride myself the most is that we have everything really like dialed in, and also because our ticketing system, like we know who's coming when, people pay ahead of time, and that allows me to keep that food cost like where it's supposed to be.
Gotcha.
Rather than if I have a traditional restaurant, I purchase all this stuff during the week, and then I'm just sitting on this shit because people forget that when you buy something, and I've fired chefs before because of this. When you buy something, that's money now. I fired one chef one time because we had oysters in the fridge, in the walk-in. They were just sitting there. I'm like, yo, man, like that's money now.
Is this at Taco Cabana?
No, this is after. This is like a little gastropub we did a few years ago, this consult job. And that's money,
I mean, like product on shelves is cash on shelves. You got to stay liquid, right? That's a huge lesson. Any other big lessons from working at Taco Cabana that you wouldn't have had if you started at a smaller mom and pop?
Yeah, training. So one morning, I started developing a cook certification program. So I took it to myself, and I went to all the restaurants, and I trained everybody how to make the Taco Cabana food. You'd be amazed. They have no idea how to make rice properly. Like, they have no idea how to do rice properly or beans properly. No clue, because a lot of times these are, older Hispanic people. They've been there for 20, 30 years. Nobody gives a shit about how they're doing or they don't know, man.
Yeah.
So I developed this really beautiful like deck of slides, and I went to every store, and I trained them how to do everything proper. So when they learned the right way, food cost was better. There was less waste. Food improved dramatically because it was done in smaller batches more during the day than making a big batch of beans and let it just cook all day long. And it was, so it was like everything changed.
So paint that picture of what training somebody right looks like, how you set somebody up for success. And I mean, I don't want to put words into your mouth, but like, what did you do? What tricks did you use? What tools did you use to create that training? How were you painting that?
So the success of these companies, Taco Cabana, I'm gonna say, I don't know, McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, whatever. They use tools that measure you have to measure everything, right? So you make a batch of rice, it has to be measured properly. And we start with that. I say, hey, how are you measuring rice? Well, I kind of just eyeball it. Fuck, done. No, because when you eyeball it, you're making more, you're making less. And just that's going to start messing up everything else forward, right?
Yep.
So I got them all new measuring spoons. I got them all new measuring cups. And the yield was better. The food was better. You know,
Yeah,
the waste was way less than it was before.
Yeah, so what Chef's just talking about is standardization. There has to be standards. You
Yeah.
can't just wing it. You
Exactly.
have to put like measurements and like this is the picture of perfection. You got to paint that picture, and measurements is one way to do that. What else?
Every restaurant that I've worked in, high end. I remember I started at Uchiko, with the great Sterling Readings. He was the chef de cuisine there. Really good friend, phenomenal chef Sterling. He's in Austin. And I remember I was going through I was doing a mise en place for service. I was there for 1 day. And that was while I had Michelin. Every so often we close down and we all go somewhere.
Yeah.
Like all the staff goes touch somewhere. And Sterling passed me over a recipe for Uchi. And it was all in grams. That's the first time I've ever seen that. You know, before I went to Dominique's and recipes, grams. Moto, everything's in grams. Because they know that you need to stay, if you want to be profitable, you need to keep everything consistent in your recipes.
Yep, down to the milligram.
That's it.
Yeah.
And that's how you make your money, you know?
If you enjoyed this video, please help us out. You can do it by liking, sharing, subscribing, and hitting that bell icon. It really helps out. And don't forget, there's a complete archive of every episode with show notes at restaurantunstoppable.com.